Lord, my beautiful blessed souls, we are back, bruised and not broken. This would have been July 18th's word. Now, this one says challenges, OMG. Now, this chapter, 1 Samuel chapter 21, and challenges go hand in hand. Let's get into it. Challenges. Why does God let me face so many challenges? I was just asking myself this the other day. Challenges that threaten and or overwhelm you are the very tools that God uses to bring you to greater strength and maturity. He sends some challenges into your life, others he merely allows. As you endure these times, you develop greater wisdom, integrity, and courage to face whatever comes your way. We usually most value those things that we have worked with the hardest to attain. So, things that are quickly given, easily given, yeah, we don't really regard them that much. Things that are we have to acquire and take hard time and effort, yeah, we appreciate them better. Now, God's response to this is be strong and very courageous. Obey all the laws Moses gave you. Do not turn away from them, and you will be successful in everything you do. That's Joshua 1 and 7. James 1, 2 through 4. No, wait. Yeah, James 1, 2 through 4 says, Dear brothers and sisters, whenever trouble comes your way, let it be an opportunity for joy, for when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be strong in character and ready for anything. Now, in 2 Samuel 22:30, in your strength I can crush an army. With mine God, I can scale any wall. So this is really a fit word, I would say, for this not that one. For this time. Yeah, it's challenges, this one. Why? Because we're gonna see how these challenges, now that David is basically on the run, we're gonna see how all the challenges he had to face while being out there. So now let's get into it. 1 Samuel chapter 21, and we're going to see how this factors in. Hold on. Okay, let me go back. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Okay, let me see. We're going to read it and we're going to get into it. So now, 1 Samuel chapter 21. Then David came to Nob, to Ahimelech, the priest. And Ahimelech came to meet David trembling and said to him, Why are you alone and no one is with you? And David said to Ahimelech the priest, The king has charged me with the matter and said to me, Let no one know anything of this matter about which I send you, and with which I have charged you. I have made an appointment with the young men for such and such a place. Now then, what do you have on hand? Meaning, give me 5 loaves of bread or whatever is here. And the priest answered David, I have no common bread on hand, but there is holy bread. Then only the priest will say that. If the young men have kept themselves from women, and David answered the priest, Truly, women have been kept from us as always, when they go on an expedition to war. The vessels of the young men are holy even when it is ordinary journey. When it is an ordinary journey. How much more today will their vessels be holy? So the priest gave him the holy bread, for there was no bread, but there was bread of the presence, which is removed from before the Lord to be replaced by a hot bread on the day it is taken away. Now, the thing about the women, we're going to look into that because I know that is something, too, that I believe athletes do. They don't have sex. It's something with that, and I wanted to look into that later. Okay, my head is itching. It really, really is. I'm trying not to mess it up. Right now, it's itching. Okay. It's crazy. Why is this sticking up like that? I don't even know. Okay. So now, a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day. Before the Lord, his name was Doeg. He was the Edomites, the chief of Saul's herdsmen. Edomite. With a name like Doeg. Then David said to Ahimelech, Then you have not here a spear or sword at hand, for I have brought neither my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business requires haste. Now we're going to pay attention. We're going to see what happens, because David is lying right there. But we're going to get into it. And the priest said, the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom you struck down in the valley of Elah, behold, it is there wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you will take it, for there is none but that here. And David said, there is none like that. Give it to me. And David rose and fled that day from Saul and went to Achish, the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said to him, is not this David the king of the land? Did they not sing to one another of him in dances? Saul has struck down his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And David took these words to heart and was much afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. So he changed his behavior before them, and he pretended to be insane in their hands, and made marks on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle run down his beard. Oh my God. Then Achish said to his servants, behold, you see the man is mad. Why then have you brought him here to me? Do I lack madmen that you have brought this fellow to behave as a madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? So now we're going to break this down and get into it, because I was trying to understand what was going on with this. Okay, so this is what's going on now. When David defeated Goliath, he did so for God's honor and with God's power. Saul realizes his court musician is a mighty warrior and gave him command over the troops. But as David's military victories grew, so did the king's fear that David would take his crown, meaning, take over as king one day. Which he already knew that. But as David's military victories, right? So with the help of Saul's own son and daughter, David escaped, meaning he went into fleeing from Saul. So he's on the run, kind of. This chapter begins with David's long season of running from King Saul. We're going to look into this because this is called Challenges. So we're going to get into this. So now his first stop was at the priestly city of Nob, where the tabernacle to the Lord is now being kept. So Nob was a few miles south of Gibeah and just north of Jerusalem. Ahimelech, the chief priest over the tabernacle, trembles in fear when David arrives alone and without provision. David lies, saying that he's on a secret military mission from King Saul and on his way to meet up with his men. So the news has not yet spread about Saul trying to kill David. So this is why he's lying. He's doing what he got to do. David asked Ahimelech to give him some bread. Ahimelech only has the bread that is placed on the table, meaning the presence before the Lord, to acknowledge God's provision for Israel. So remember, this is priestly bread. He's not supposed to have it. So the holy bread is meant only for the priest. Sensing that this is an emergency, Ahimelech decides to allow David to take the bread for him and his men. Now, the only stipulation is that they are ceremonially clean, meaning making them fit for temple activities. David insists that neither he or his men have been with the woman, meaning had sex, because of their important military mission for the king. Like I said, I want to look into that because I hear about that and I want to know. In a bit of foreshadowing, the text mentions that someone sees the exchange, right? Someone saw what happened. So Doeg the Edomite, Saul's chief shepherd, happens to be at the tabernacle. See how folks always minding folks' business? He is detained before the Lord in some way, perhaps waiting for something from the priest or from the Lord on Saul's behalf later. Doeg will inform Saul, and he will let him know that he saw, David there, and murder scores of the priests. They will inform Saul and murder scores of the priests. So David records a response to this psalm in one of his psalms. So Saul sent them to kill the priests? Okay, I'm going to have to look into that too. Next, David asks Ahimelech if he has any weapons. So David adds to his lie by saying that the king's secret mission required him to leave too quickly to bring his own weapons with him. So the only weapon that the priest has is the sword of Goliath. Hey, look at that. Listen, this is the same sword that David used himself to kill the Philistine champion Goliath from him and cut his head off. So David gladly takes the weapon. David soon leaves Nob and heads in a surprising direction. Since Saul has made him an enemy of the state, meaning, David runs to a city of Israel's enemies to seek refuge from Saul, meaning he ran to the enemies and thinking that they would let him stay there, meaning that Saul wouldn't come there. So he travels from Nob to Gath, to the nearest of the 5 major cities of the Philistines, where Achish is king. David realizes his mistake in thinking that his enemies would take him in. In another act of clever deception, David asks if he's insane in that era, and this was considered bad luck to interfere with such a person. Achish dismisses him. So, homeless and alone, David retreats to the cave of Adullam. Soon he's joined by his brothers and his father's house. Needy people from throughout the region come as well, and David hides his parents away with the king of Moab and takes his new army into the forest. Wow. Now that is interesting, because Moab was one of the enemies too. But you see, when you're in desperate situations, you do desperate things. You're thinking it's off, but God still provided. He lied. He did all this stuff. Let's get into this. Okay. Now, David has now quite taken leave of both of Saul's court and of his camp. He has bidden farewell to his alter Edom, his other self. The beloved Jonathan, and henceforth to the end of this book, he is looked upon and treated as an outlaw and proclaimed a traitor. So we still find him shifting from place to place for his own safety, and Saul pursuing him. His troubles are very particularly related in this and the following chapters, not only to be a key to the Psalms, but that he may be, as other prophets, as an example to the saints in all ages, meaning of suffering and of affliction and of patience. And especially that he may be a type of Christ, who will bring anointing to the kingdom, humble himself, and was therefore highly exalted, but be the example of the suffering, as Jesus was a copy without a blot. That of David was not so. Witness the records of this chapter. We will find David in his flight. One imposing upon Ahimelech the priest to get him both victuals and arms, imposing upon Achish the king of Gath, and by feigning himself mad. Now, justly are troubles and called temptations, for many are by them drawn into sin. Ooh, let's get into this, because this is a lot. Now, it is called challenges, and I said to myself, when I seen it, I said, wow, even though it took me some time, it's a good thing that I kept going the way that I did, because I would have missed this, and this really fits this actual chapter. So now, we're going to look at this. A lot is going on. Okay, so now, this is raw survival time. Basically, David is in survival mode. And we are seeing this all throughout the scripture. So 1 Samuel 21 is raw survival, is divine provision, spiritual protection, and identity under pressure. So this chapter becomes a powerful resourcefulness. It is a covenant covering, prophetic symbolism, and the way God sustains his chosen even when life forces them into uncomfortable places. So now, rounding the chapter, David flees Saul and goes to Nob for bread and Goliath's sword, then escapes to Gath and pretends to be mad, meaning crazy, to survive. So we're going to break this down. First Samuel shows that God provides for you even when you're running, meaning running, hiding, scared, or unsure. David is not in a palace. Now he's in survival mode. So he done went from the palace to now survival mode. How many of us have been there? Well, we went from having, not having, or vice versa. Yet God still feeds him, arms him, and protects him. So this chapter proves your calling is still active even in your lowest moments. Now, generationally and lineagely, David's lineage is in transition. He is anointed but not enthroned yet, chosen but not celebrated, protected but not comfortable. So, yeah. Saul's lineage is collapsing. His jealousy intensifies. His authority weakens. His spiritual covering is gone. David's movement from Nob to Gath shows a lineage shift from Israel's palace to Israel's priesthood to Israel's enemies, to yet God is with him everywhere. Now, when God is shifting your lineage, he will sustain you in places that don't look like destiny. So when we are going through these things, we have to pay attention. Sometimes I just feel like, what in the world is going on with my life? Divine provision layer, the bread of the presence. David is hungry, he's desperate, and he's alone. Ahimelech gives him the holy bread, the bread that is normally reserved for the priest. I remember normally you can give for this. This is not random. It is a prophetic provision. The bread of the presence symbolizes God feeding David spiritually and physically. God breaking religious rules to preserve his chosen. Wow. See? Religious rules, practices. Okay. God providing from sacred places during secular crisis. So God will feed you from places you didn't think you qualified for. Don't let it go over your head. Prophetic symbolisms in layers. Ahimelech gives David Goliath's sword. It is stored, behind the ephod. This sword symbolizes David's past victory. This is how all it started. God's empowerment, a reminder of who David truly is, meaning, although we're going to remember the identity is and a prophetic sign that David will defeat the giants again, meaning the giants in his life. Saul was one of them. Now David is running, but God hands him a reminder. You are still the giant slayer. Because when we're going through things, sometimes we need to remember that. Because when these battles get to be crazy, we need to remember, God did it before, he'll do it again. Even in fear, God will remind you of your identity. Spiritual warfare, right? This layer is, David is fleeing Saul's murderous pursuit. Doeg the Edomite is watching. So this is the enemy having eyes everywhere. He is a future enemy. Now the chapter is full of spiritual tension. David is anointed. Saul is tormented. Doeg is observing and God is protected, because you always got somebody watching you, going back 10. David's fear is real, but God's protection is stronger. Now warfare intensifies when destiny is close. This is why all holy heck breaks loose. Survival and resourcefulness prayer. David flees to Gath, the land of Goliath. This is extreme desperation. He is hiding among his enemies. Wow. Crazy things make strange situations, strange things. When he is recognized, David pretends to be insane, pretends to be crazy. He's scratching doors, drooling, and acting irrational. The Achish rejects him and sends him away. David escapes. This is not weakness. It is a strategic humility. He had to do this because he had to, continue to be alive. They would have wanted to kill him. So sometimes survival requires unconventional wisdom. Doing things you seem crazy, you would normally do. This is how this is. Mental and emotional layer. David is hungry. He is scared. He is alone. He is unarmed. He is displaced. And he is emotionally strained. Yet he still seeks God's provision, remembers past victories, uses wisdom, stays aligned with his destiny. And this chapter shows David's humanity, not just his heroism. So now, your emotions don't cancel your anointing. So even if you don't feel like it today and things are not going well, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, it does not. Identity and calling layer. David lies to Ahimelech about being on a royal mission. Why? This shows fear, pressure, confusion, survival instinct. But even in deception, God still feeds him, arms him, protects him, and guides him. David's calling is intact, even when his behavior isn't perfect. This is what we was talking about when we think that we have to perform, meaning that God only blesses us when we're doing right. That is not true, because if that was the case, we wouldn't get it, okay? As you can see, it is not performance-based when it comes to religion. It is not ritualistic, and it's not religious practices. As we can see, God is showing us a lot of things here. Cultural and social layer. Priests normally do not give holy bread to non-priests. But Ahimelech breaks tradition to preserve David. This shows mercy over ritual. See, people always with the ritualists, no. Mercy, life and legalism, life over legalism, calling over culture. See? Because a lot of that gets lost. Now, David's journey challenges cultural norms and reveals God's heart. So God will break rules to protect his chosen. This is what this is showing us. Now, prophetic transition layer. This chapter marks David's shift from the palace to the wilderness, from comfort to survival mode, from honor to hiding, from stability to movement. This is what it is. But every step is guided, and David is not falling apart because it looks like that. He is being repositioned, and sometimes we will feel like that in our lives, that we are just falling completely apart. Now, transition feels like loss, but is actually divine relocation. Now, 1 Samuel shows that God sustains you in the wilderness the same way he sustains you in the palace. David receives holy bread, the giant sword, and divine protection, proving that even in fear, God's provision never stops. He lied, he got the bread, he's on the run, he's living his life the way he needs to be living it. Now, I wanted to look at challenges and add them in, and the long list of them, because we want to look at this. And then I wanted to ask about the no woman rule, because I wanted to understand it more. So adding challenges and long lists of them, because the chapter is literally David entering a season where the challenges don't just hit, they stretch, they drag, and they last longer than he expected. And we have times in our life where certain things are going to be this way. And now this becomes, extended warfare which is what we would call it, a long-term pressure, a slow transition, and an endurance that's required to carry a calling. Now, we'll leave the challenges and the long lengths of them into the full breakdown. We're going to look at it. So, challenges. Some challenges don't end quickly. So, we look at these things in our life, whatever that may be. We could be sick, diagnosed with something. We can have, lost a business, lost a child, lost a loved one, whatever challenges. And sometimes it does not just go away right then and there. Sometimes the process is lengthy. So this is the season David has entered. So because it's not going to, this season that he's in of being constantly sought after to kill him is not going to be a short journey. This is going to be a lengthy one. So David entered the season where the pressure is long, the danger is constant, and the journey is extended, yet God sustains him through every mile. This chapter proves long challenges do not mean God has left you, and that means that God is stretching you for the next level. Because sometimes we will feel like God has forgotten us, he's left us, he's not thinking about us, we're cursed, and all these other things, but that's not always the case. We got to look at it. So full breakdown with challenges and their long lengths, because when we look at our lives and we, be like, well, why is mine? Yeah. Comparison, but you're not supposed to do that. Generational and lineage layer. Long challenges. David's lineage is shifting, but the shift is slow. He goes from palace to wilderness, honor to hiding, from stability to running, from comfort to survival. This is not a quick transition. It is a long, drawn-out challenge, and Saul's decline is also long. Long jealousy, long rage, long instability, and long pursuit. And this is what this looks like, whether it's witchcraft, sorcery, whatever it is in your life, everyday occurrences, whether it's your job, your spouse, your children, yourself, whatever it is. So some generational shifts take time, and God stretches the process so that the foundation becomes unshakable. Do we like it? No. These be the long stints of wilderness. Ooh, honey. Divine provision layer. Long challenges. David is hungry, not once, but repeatedly. This is ongoing lack. How do we feel about these things when we look at them in our life? Not a momentary inconvenience, but a long situation. The bread of presence represents long-term sustenance, long-term spiritual nourishment, long-term divine provision. God feeds David from a holy place, because the challenge is long and David needs long-term strength. So when these challenges is long, God's provision becomes sacred. You gotta appreciate them. Now, prophetic symbolism layer. Long challenges. Goliath's sword is not just a weapon. It is a long-term reminder that David will carry it for years. Wow. He will fight with it. It will remember his past victory, face future giants. The sword symbolizes long-term identity, long-term calling, and long-term empowerment. God gives you reminders that last as long as the challenges last. Lord Jesus, when I tell you sometimes this stuff be so long and drawn out. And I just be sitting here like, Lord, win or win or win. Spiritual warfare layer, long challenges. David warfare is not a single battle. It is a long season of drought, of famine, of whatever. This could be these long seasons. He faces long fear, long pursuit, long danger, long uncertainty, long spiritual pressure. Saul's attacks do not stop, so they just keep coming. Doeg's presence becomes a future threat. David's escape becomes a lifestyle. He's always having to escape by here, and I don't know who would want this life, but anyway. Long warfare means long protection. God matches the length of the attack with the length of his covering. Survival and resourcefulness layer. Long challenges. David's survival is not a one-time event. It is a long-term strategy. He must lie to protect himself at times, hide among enemies, pretend, to be mad or crazy, move constantly, and adapt quickly. These are not short-term adjustments. These are long-term survival skills. So long challenges force you to develop long-lasting wisdom, how to maneuver when you don't have the money, when everything fall apart and you're just there. And this is long term, meaning you'll, come up ain't for 5 or 10 years. Yeah. Mental and emotional layer, long challenges. And I'm not just saying it for that. When you get a diagnosis that you have to battle for 10, 15 years. You see what I'm saying? This is what this is about. Mental and emotional layer, long challenges. David's emotional strain is extended. Long fear, long loneliness, long confusion. I feel like this right now. Long pressure, long uncertainty. He is not just scared. He is tired. He is drained. He's not just running. He is not just hiding. He is enduring. Long emotional challenges don't mean you're weak. They mean you're human. And sometimes I just hate this because I feel like my life be full of this mess and it be long. It be long and hard. And I just be like, for the littlest, simplest thing, I be like, I don't even understand it. Identity and calling layer. Long challenges. David's calling is intact, but the journey to kingship is a long one. He is anointed but not crowned. He is chosen but not seated. He is favored but not recognized. He is protected but not celebrated. This is a long delay, not a denial. This is what it is. Long delays are part of the destiny. They build the character needed for the throne. Do we like it? No, I hate it. I hate these seasons, I swear. Cultural and social layer, long challenges. David's interaction with the priests and enemy shows long cultural tension, long political instability, and long social danger. Israel is in a long season of leadership crisis. Long cultural challenges prepare you for long-term leadership. So this is what this is about. This fight is over the throne, and Saul doesn't want to move. And we see with our own selves, when we have dysfunctional people who do not want to leave, they want to sit, they want to stay forever and a day, they will not die off, they will not resign, they will not resign. You see what I'm saying? They just want to keep that position. They're the evilest, wickedest, meanest people, but they don't want to move, they don't want to go nowhere. Have you ever seen it? Prophetic transition layer, long challenges. David's transition is not quick, it's long and layered. He moves from Moab to Gath, to the caves, to the wilderness, to exile. This is a long journey, not a short detour. Every step is guided, but every step is hard. And this is what this is about. Long transition produces long-lasting transformations. Now, 1 Samuel chapter 21 teaches that some challenges last longer than we want, but God's provision lasts longer than the challenge. David faces long fear, long danger, long hunger, long uncertainty, yet God feeds him, arms him, protects him, and sustains him through every mouth. Now, my life, I be saying sometimes it's just such a tragedy. Everything you could possibly go through, it's like I gotta go through it. It doesn't miss me. It never misses me. It just got to be here. It got to come to me. I got to get it. I got that. If everybody else in the room does not, it would be me. And I hate that. And I have been, and then it's not just one thing, it's a lot of things. And it's been this way so long, and it's long. So it's not a just now thing. It's been this way, and it really pisses me off. It makes me so, and so sometimes I be going through my own little stuff, because it's like stuff just piles up and piles up. It'd be this, and it'll be that, then it'll be that. Then it's long. You know, I've been working on this. It still ain't. I've been working on that. I've been working on that. I'm trying. I'm not understanding what's going on. And so, yes, it gets to be a lot. So when you talk about challenges and long suffering and long battles and challenges in every aspect of your life where you're trying to get things done and you don't see progress, or if you see it, it's a little bit, or it moves forward, it moves back, it stands still, it will drive you insane. And this is where the joy and the happiness and all of this comes in at, because having something when you're going through these times, Jesus, it just be, and sometimes you don't. You don't have no one, you have nobody but the Lord sometimes. So it is very, draining. It is very tiring. It is very stressful at times. So now I wanted to ask about the no women rule, because I understand, that the no women, situation. I want to understand. So I really wanted to break down this a little bit more. And what was the other thing? It was one more thing, I think. Okay, so now the no women rule. Okay, this is few of the moments in David's journey where no women appear at all, and that the absence is actually meaningful. Everything in this chapter is a men movement, survival, and spiritual tension. So let's go break down all of this. No women, meaning a male-dominated moment of survival. There are no women. Why does that matter? Because this chapter is priesthood, warfare, survival, political danger, spiritual tension, and identity pressure. This is a moment where David is dealing with men who represent systems. So no women here. This is men. Ahimelech is a priesthood. Doeg is surveillance, meaning watching. So the monitoring. Achish is the enemy authority. Right? And the absence of women highlights no comfort, right? No emotional support, no relational covering, and no coveted protection. Jonathan isn't even there present. David is alone, surrounded only by men who represent power structures. So this is what this is. And this is, a lot when you're battling this. This is sometimes God isolates you from relational comfort so you can confront systems and not people. So the power systems that are in place, these are these principalities, powers, these generational curses, whatever that is in your family, in your bloodline. So this will be the reason. And so it's very uncomfortable because it is not a smooth, easy situation. Rule authority structures that are colliding. This chapter is full of authority clashes. Saul's rule, corrupt, violent, paranoid, and collapsing. I mean, we can see it all the time, whether it's in government right now, presidential, whatever it is, on our jobs, in our families, with our friends, with our spouses, whatever. We see Saul's rule, corrupt, violent, paranoid, and collapsing. Priestly rule is Ahimelech. He's scared, cautious, fearful, and protective. And the Philistine rule, meaning Achish, they're foreign, hostile, suspicious, and dangerous. When we look at it right now with the war and what's going on, this says a lot. David is navigating 3 different rulers in one chapter, none of whom are safe. Right. This shows David is between kingdoms. David is between identities. David is between authorities, and David is in between seasons. Ooh, this is a stretch. When I tell you, you are stretched when stuff like this is going on. When God is shifting your destiny, you will pass through multiple authority systems that don't fit you. This is all of this battles. The bread, the divine provision in a dangerous place. The bread of the presence is the center of this chapter. It represents God feeding David, God sustaining David, God breaking religious rules to protect his chosen, and God giving holy provision during unholy pressure. This bread is sacred. It is restricted. It is priestly only. It is symbolic of God's presence. It is yet David receives it because the challenge is long, the dangers is real, the hunger is deep, the journey is prophetic. So God will feed you from holy places when life pushes you into hard places. So this is how you be like, I don't know how to make it, but the Lord provided. When you didn't have the money, when you didn't have the job, when you almost lost your mind, when you almost died, when your child, was acting a fool, when you got the cancer scare, whatever. You see what I'm saying? So this is how God kept you in your mind, and all of this from being the next thing is mad or crazy. So now, David's strategic insanity, because this is what it is. David pretends to be mad in Gab. Why? He stretches doors, he drools on his beard, he acts irrational. He abandons his dignity. This is not weakness, it's a strategy. David uses madness to avoid death, to confuse his enemy and to escape danger, to survive the moment. Why? Because he needs to get away. There's no kingdom there. There's nothing if he's not alive. Achish rejects him because he thinks David is mentally unstable. And sometimes madness is all you got, baby. Sometimes it's a hot mess. Lord help me. Lord help me, because I done been here and done this too. This is not even. So Achish rejects him. Now, mind you, Achish is the enemy. He don't even want to be blocked. When everybody just rejected you, listen. So Achish rejects him because he thinks David is mentally unstable. This madness is actually prophetic disguise. It is divine protection. It's survival intelligence. It's humility under pressure. You can't be too proud. Now you got to do what you got to do. But sometimes God lets you look foolish to keep you alive. So a lot of times this is what this is about as well. So you will look stupid, you will look foolish, you will look embarrassed, you will look like all of these evil, whether it's the narratives, whether, they put the spin on it, they make you look crazy. Oh, you drunk, you an alcoholic, oh, you crazy, oh, you this, oh, you did this, oh, you did that, oh, you ain't this. See? I mean, this is, because I done been everything with the child of God and probably still is and probably will be still again tomorrow. But So whomever, whenever, depending on the situation, relationship, whatever went on, either they wonderfully loved me or then hated me. You see how Saul switched up. One minute he loved David, the next minute he hated him. And this is why we can't get caught up with people in their praise, because one minute they will love you, next minute they'll be trying to kill you. This is how Jesus went to the cross. Pay attention, pay attention. Don't for 1 minute not pay attention to that. Don't let it go over your head now. So now, let me see. 1 Samuel is a chapter of isolation, authority clashes, holy provision, and strategic survival. No woman appear because this moment is about systems, not comfort. So you can't be comfort when you're trying to change things. A lot of times it won't be. David receives sacred bread because God feeds his chosen even in danger. And David's madness is not weakness, it's his wisdom disguised as insanity. Because you got to know your enemy. You got to know the tools you have and which ones to use and when to use them when you're fighting. These are battles. And we, in the spiritual and natural, we cannot play. And if we got to look foolish, if we got to look stupid, if we got to look weak, humble, whatever, sometimes that's the part you're going to have to play. In order to get out and survive, you got to shut up and not say nothing. If you got to ignore it, act like you don't see it. If that's what you got to do, then sometimes this is what you need to do. Pick whatever, for whatever battle you need, there's a weapon. Use the right weapon for the right situation. And, it just depends on what is going on in our lives. Because these things can look like I just said, a bunch of little car going out, losing of the job, business going under. Divorce. It could be any, multitude of things that could be going on in your life, that this will be those battles. This will be that long season of suffering, challenges, back to back, nonstop, near-death misses. Everyone hates you. Everyone's targeting you. This is what it is. And this is what it looks like. Everybody hates you, can't stand you, all these type of things. So you got to pay attention, and just kind of look at it for what it is. And that's why I said challenges. And then the next one is going to be challenges as well, which I had started to make that a part of this one, but I wasn't quite sure. I wanted to wait. I think I might do that one tomorrow, only because I could have. Okay, I may go ahead because it does align with this. And this would be challenges part 2. And this would have been on July the 19th. But because it resonates, and I'm going to read it. Challenges part 2, July 19th. Excuse me. How should challenges shape my life? Challenges keep you from being comfortable and satisfied with the status quo. And it forces you to follow God's leading into uncharted waters. Paul's vision to preach the gospel continually drove him to new challenges. He even saw his time in prison as an opportunity to witness to the soldiers who guarded him. View your challenges as occasions for spiritual growth. So this challenges is like problems, issues, things. So this is why this is so important. Having more issues involved, right? So God's response to this in Acts chapter 19, verse 21. Afterward, Paul felt impelled by the Holy Spirit to go over and to Macedonia and Achaia before returning to Jerusalem. And after that, he said, I must go on to Rome. Now, Philippians 1:12-13. I want you to know, dear brothers and sisters, that everything that has happened to me here has helped me to spread the good news. For everyone here, including all the soldiers in the palace, guards, knows that I am in chains because of Christ. That's Philippians 1:12-13. Now in Psalms 31:24, my eyes, because it's getting a little dark. Be strong and take courage and courageous, all of you who put your hope in the Lord. That is Psalms 31:24. So now when we're looking at this, how should these challenges shape your life? Which I just added it in because this is what this is about. I didn't go into chapter 22 yet. I hope I'm not going to, expel it just yet. And then we have one called risk, because we're going to get into this, right? Because they fit these stories right the way they do. I may do that July 19th one still tomorrow because I want to break it down a little bit more. But it did resonate with this one, and that was challenges part 1 and then challenges part 2. It does resonate, but maybe we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. Well, like I said, when we are looking at these things, and I wanted to do, hold on, because it was this, the no woman rule, and what else did I, what's the bread, what else, hold on. I want to make sure I got everything, that I covered everything that I had questions about, and that I want everyone, okay, comparison. This is why I say some people's lives are full with battles. They were born to fight. Now, is it something that they and why? I don't know. This is what God, some people are warriors by nature, like military people, police officers. This is just who they are, what they do. And then some people are not. And then their battles look different. You know what I'm saying? But in your life. But some people are just here and their life is to battle, to war. And when we look at all of the chosen ones in the word, and they face many trials and tribulations, many of them, and many of the afflictions of the righteous. This is what it's talking about, and he would deliver us from them all. So God didn't promise us a perfect, happy, wonderful, cut life. He did promise that he would get us through it. So now, this was a question that I had, that I wanted to, looking at David's life, because some people's lives, like I said, are full of battles. And when you compare certain people's lives, some people's lives are full of ease. So we're looking, asking from a place of experience, not theory. So we're gonna break this down, this question that I just asked, because I wanted to know this, okay? And some lives are marked by battles because those lives carry assignments, anointings, and callings, generational weight, and destiny influence. Others live quieter lives because their role in the story is different. This isn't unfairness, it's design. Some lives carry battles because they carry destiny. David's life is full of battles because he is chosen, he is anointed, he is called, he is transitioning a nation. He is breaking generational patterns. He is shifting spiritual atmospheres. So people with high calling often have high conflict, meaning their lives look like tragedies straight up because they're always going through some challenges, changes, problems, issues. People with deep purpose often have deep pressure. This is what this is about. People with big destiny often have big warfare. So the battles are not punishment. They are indicators of assignment. And honey, sometimes I don't be want to hear that. I'm telling you, I be so sick and tired of all this. And usually it's for somebody else. Because God wants other people to get right. And so you got to be the one in the battles. Yeah, to fight the battles. Okay, so anyway. Because you the battle one. Remember, you the armor bearer. You the one that can fight. So you the one got to fight. And let the other one just come into the glory of it all. Sometimes it raw. Some lives carry battles because they carry generational weight. Some people are born into generational trauma, generational curses, generational dysfunction, generational poverty, generational instability, generational spiritual warfare. They are the ones God chose to break, heal, and reverse the lineage. David was that person for his family. So some lives has battles because they are chosen to end what others survived. Some lives carry battles because they carry spiritual sensitivity. People who are spiritually awake feel more, see more, discern more. They carry more and they battle more. David was spiritually sensitive, which made him a target. So spiritual sensitivity attracts spiritual warfare. Some lives carry battles because they carry leadership. Leadership fight battles. Leaders fight battles followers never see. David's battles were not personal, they were national. Some people's battles are not about their life, like I was just saying, they're about the people connected to them. Leadership comes with warfare because leadership carries influence. Some lives carry battles because they carry transition. David's life is one long transition, from shepherd to warrior, from warrior to fugitive, from fugitive to king. Transitions create instability, pressure, uncertainty, movement, and discomfort. Transition is warfare because transition is transformation. Some lives carry battles because they carry prophetic weight. Prophetic people often live misunderstood lives, uncomfortable lives, unpredictable lives, and spiritually heavy lives. David was prophetic. His life reflected spiritual realities. Prophetic calling creates prophetic conflict. Some lives carry battles because they carry heart. People with deep hearts love deeply, feel deeply, they hurt deeply, and they also care deeply. David's emotional depth made his battles feel heavier. Why? Because the deeper the heart, the deeper the battles, and usually the deeper the hurt when they get hurt. Some lives carry battles because they carry joy. This is the part people miss. People with joy often face battles because joy is a threat to darkness. I gotta remember that when I'm. David had joy. Joy in worship, joy in covenant, joy in God, joy in destiny. Joy attracts warfare because joy is a spiritual power. So you minding your business, enjoying your life is a problem. In a nutshell, whether you bother anybody or not, this is what it is. Joy attracts warfare because joy is a spiritual power. Your anger, joy is a weapon, and weapons draw fire. Are you serious? You see this? Don't mind me, y'all. See, I be like, because it be peeing me off sometimes. I'm telling you, I'm be honest, it be making me very angry and upset sometimes. I'm like, are you serious? Okay, some lives carry battles because they carry God's hand. This is the simplest truth. David's life had battles because God was with him. The enemy fights what God favors. Okay. Yeah, okay, but then I don't be wanting to hear that either sometimes. Battles are proof of divine favor, not divine abandonment. Because I get sometimes, I be like, listen, I don't even want to hear that right now. Some lives have fewer battles because their role is different. Not everyone is a breaker, a builder, a leader, a prophet, a warrior, a generational shifter. Some people are supporters, helpers, background characters, and stable anchors, quiet contributors. Their lives are quieter because their assignment is quieter. Different roles create different levels of warfare. Well, honey, some lives are full of battles because those lives carry destiny. David's battles were not signs of God's absence. They were signs of God's assignment. Some people live quiet lives because their role is quiet. Some live battlefield lives because their calling shakes nations. Now, although that makes me feel a little bit better, but it somehow makes me angrier too sometimes. But I'm going to let this go, y'all. Because y'all see and know that. I'll be like, listen. Woo, Jesus, help a nigga, help us out. Because I be just going through some changes, okay? Sometimes. It just be so rough sometimes. Be hard sometimes. Be long sometimes. And I be tired and don't want to be bothered with it sometimes. So anyway, and I be angry, I be upset, I be going in, I be acting a fool, David. Yes, about the situation, because I just be, why am I still sitting here dealing with this, doing this, and listen, folks be somewhere sipping pina coladas, and I'm over here got all this going on, whirlwind. So, I be wanting to go sip me some pina coladas too. Anyway. Bruised and not broken. I hope that this word was pleasant to y'all, because honey. And hope it was. And some things are not, some things just naturally, going weirdo wacko too, because I be meeting, dealing with some of the weirdest wacko is folks sometimes. But anyway. Bruised and not broken. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I hope that this word was a blessing to you. As you can see, I'm learning just like you learning from it. And it upsets me, some of it. It makes me angry with myself, angry with God, angry about the situations. Just watching it for them and in my own life, because I see myself in a lot of these stories, and it just be like, So anyway, like I said, I hope this word was a blessing to you guys. Dang my eye. I hope it was. I hope that you've learned something from it. You're watching, you're applying it, you're looking at your lives differently. I hope God is working through you and your families, and whatever it is that's going on, that He's you're trusting Him to help you and be with you. So like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to be a blessing to me, you can go into my link in my Cash App. I think it's in my bio. And you can be a blessing to me there. But outside of that, other than that, bruised and not broken, honey. And when I say bruised and not broken, that was the reason for this channel. Because sometimes I was broken, sometimes I was an arrow on target. And I'm still here because a lot of bruising. A lot of cuts, a lot of wounds, a lot of stuff. And so this is why I say this sometimes when I'm on here. And I just be like, I just don't even understand it sometimes. But okay, love you guys. Be blessed in Jesus' name. Like I said, and until the next word, because I'm trying to get all these words out. I think I may have, well, if I do the 19, because we're only in 20, going into 20, hopefully I'll be caught up, because that's what I'm trying to do, get caught up and be where I need to be, because I know it's been a lot going on. And I will discuss it. Like I said, there's stuff going on now I will discuss later. I'm working through it myself, and when you're going through things and you're trying to figure it out, you need time yourself to deal with it before you can, bring it forth and come forth. So just give me a minute and work with me. And I know people be wanting to know about our personal stuff, and it does sound good, but sometimes it can be a blessing and or a curse at times, especially if you reveal too much or too early or too soon. So because it seemed like whenever I post personal stuff, like my vacation and stuff, I get more views, and I'm like, what is that about? I don't be understanding that. I'm like, well, dang, they just wanted to watch me on vacation. I mean, I get it. Going on vacation is a wonderful thing, but I was like, well, dang, other than that, they just not feeling me like that. What is going on? But anyway, and it's not me. It's about the Lord, and it's about folks, looking at their lives, in this realm, spiritually, naturally, and from God's eyes, and, Him showing us what we need to be doing here. So, love you guys. Be blessed. Was not broken. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'm going to let this one go. Love y'all. Until the next one. Remember, challenges. Challenges. These challenges.